Go ahead and get started with our presentation. Again, just to share as we kick things off. Si necesita interpretación al español para escuchar la presentación, está disponible. Solo necesita presionar el botón que parece un globo al fondo de su pantalla y podrá seleccionar español para el audio. Pero vamos a empezar. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Thanks everyone for being here, celebrating our 5th annual Latino Advocacy Week with the conservation team this afternoon. We'll be sharing today a little bit about our conservation priorities for this year and how you can get involved in each of our program areas. So we'll be talking about really putting Latinos at the forefront of our advocacy efforts, including different ways to protect our lands, water, and communities. Who you'll hear from today is the conservation team, as well as some of our wonderful team members from our networks team, which includes myself, Jessica Godinez, serving as our interim conservation director while Melissa Morris is on maternity leave. We'll hear from Vanessa Munoz, our waterways program manager, Sofia Barbosa, our oceans program manager, Hilda, our climate manager, as well as Juan Rosas, who's our Por la Creación program manager, Luis Cruz, who is serving as our Latino Conservation Week coordinator, and then last but certainly not least, we'll hear from Ana Jimenez, who is our Conservation Network manager. We're super excited to be here and welcome you into the fun. Just some quick logistics while we get things off. A quick run of show for our programming today. We'll get things started with a film screening of one of our films from a few years ago to bring us all together under the theme of advocacy and action. We'll hear from each program manager about their program updates and as well as some opportunities to get engaged. And then lastly, continue to share some ways that you can get involved with our networks department and all of our conservation programming here at Hispanic Access. We'll save a couple minutes at the end to answer any questions or hear from you all as well. But with that, I will turn it over to Hilda, our climate manager, to take it over.
Thank you, Jess. And hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm really excited to see you all here. Bienvenidos a todos. The climate program and the conservation team, as we know, is a big area. But before I jump into talking about climate, we're going to do a little bit of a poll. And we're going to start with just a couple of questions, and then I'll give you a couple of seconds to respond to your questions. The first question, and you'll see it come up, is how does climate change impact wildfires? You'll have a few options there. Please select the best answer that you see. And the second question is, what is an impact of air pollution? Just one impact, but what is an impact of air pollution? So I'll go ahead and give you just a few seconds. And then we'll see where the response is and the correct answer, but just a few seconds. So again, thank you. Thanks for participating in that. Yes, as you can see, the correct answer for how does climate change impact wildfires, it was all the options there. And what is an impact of air pollution? Yes, respiratory illnesses, which you'll hear me speak about here in a moment. So once again, thank you. And I'm excited to talk about the climate program. The area of climate can be considered an umbrella for environmental protection. At least that's how I look at it. It's an umbrella as actions to mitigate, adapt, and restore include broader environmental protections that clean air, improve water quality, reduce deforestation, and protect biodiversity, and vice versa, as actions that protect the environment, such as reducing pollution, conserving resources, promoting sustainable practices, all of those help reduce greenhouse gases. Here at Hispanic Access, the goals within the climate program are to continue to educate, inform, and empower our community so you're confident and equipped when talking about climate change. We also want to build and strengthen partnerships between community leaders, network members, government officials, government agencies, external partners for continued engagement toward a restorative climate. Now, in this year, it's a really big year for our climate program. In 2025, our priorities are air pollution with a focus on public health and also the socioeconomic impact. And in relation to air pollution is wildfires. So creating educational resources, legislative mitigation actions, capturing stories from our community on the impacts of wildfires, and drawing the connections of wildfires and other extreme weather events and their connection to climate change. Under the scope of air pollution, we are primarily focusing on PM 2.5, which PM stands for particulate matter, and it's a particular matter of liquid and solid particles less than 2.5 in diameter. We're also focusing on methane, a potent greenhouse gas that is 80 times more harmful than carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. Both PM 2.5 and methane cause health problems among people across the world, especially the Latino community and other underrepresented communities in our country, as we tend to live, work, and play near power plants, which produce large amounts of both PM 2.5 and methane, and of course, other pollutants. But due to social economic reasons, this is the reason we live and play and work in these areas. This is why it's important to support policies that exist currently and that are coming down the pipeline for our regions and across the nation. One specifically is the endangerment finding, a science-based finding and legal determination to put together by the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, in 2009 that states that greenhouse gas emissions from motor vehicles and other sources are a threat to public health and welfare for current and future generations, and therefore should be regulated under the Clean Air Act to curb emissions such as methane, carbon dioxide, and other heat-trapping air pollutants. The endangerment finding shows scientific evidence on the causes and impacts of climate change, and it's been gathered from many leaders from within the scientific community over the years. The Latino community also tends to live in areas that are wildfire prone, which is why it's another focus of our climate program this year. In the last decade, as we have seen, wildfires have grown in severity, frequency, intensity, and destructiveness, and will continue to do so unless we take actions to mitigate wildfires. The change in climate is directly impacting wildfires to grow as climate change causes, again, warmer temperatures, drier conditions, droughts, and stronger winds. This is why it's important to tackle both issues. It is especially important to hear from those directly impacted by wildfires. In Los Angeles County, for example, 1 in 4 people are directly impacted by wildfires, with at least 74,000 being at risk for displacement. It is important for elected officials, all of you at a local, state, regional, and national level, to work together on mitigation plans and allocation of resources so that everyone is prepared ahead of time. And we have plans in place for wildfires as they come and afterwards. This, just so y'all know, is something I'm very excited about because we will be highlighting this in our wildfire white paper, which will be available in Q3. Thank you to network members, 3 of them who are writing this paper with me. And we are also showing stories on wildfires from community members, specifically pastors and their community leaders in this. And this white paper will also draw a connection between other extreme weather events and their relationship to climate change, because as we know, extreme weather events are not just single instances, they're connected in many different ways. These extreme weather events that we're going to cover are extreme heat and drought, which impact currently over 94 million people in the US, with more than half of those being Latinos. So that's just a tidbit of what we're doing in the climate program. And opportunities to engage, there are many things happening in the climate space, but where we are engaging this year, and I'm inviting you all, is on the methane regulation fronts. Participate in local or national action. You'll see some information come from me within the networks team. And also, this wildfire white paper is intended to be for us, for the Latino community and the scientific community, but really designed to empower you. And so that is it for the climate program. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll drop some resources in the chat. But now I'm going to hand it over to my next colleague. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilda. Hi, everyone. I'm Sofia Barbosa, our Ocean Program Manager. I also have a few questions to kind of test your ocean knowledge and dive into learning a little bit about our ocean work. All right, thank you so much for answering those questions and testing your ocean knowledge with us. So the first question was, what percentage of our planet is ocean? And the correct answer is 71%. That's why Earth is often called the blue planet, because nearly 3/4 of the surface is covered by the ocean. The ocean plays a central role in climate regulation and weather patterns by distributing heat around the world via its currents, by serving as the primary source of all the moisture in the Earth's atmosphere, and being the planet's largest carbon sink, which means it absorbs the excess carbon dioxide that we have on our planet from human-made emissions. The second question, how much of the Earth's oxygen comes from the ocean? Which is 50%, about 50%. So half of the oxygen that we breathe comes from ocean-based sources, especially from the microscopic organisms like phytoplankton. And so protecting ocean ecosystems isn't just about marine life, it's essential for human survival, for all life on Earth. So these facts just kind of highlight how interconnected we are with the ocean. It's not just a vast body of water. Even if you don't live near the ocean is influencing your life and our lives. So understanding these key facts is a first step toward protecting it. So the mission of our ocean program is to include, engage, and elevate the role of the U.S. Latino community in ocean conservation, restoration, and advocacy efforts. We know that healthy, clean, and protected oceans are critical to all life on Earth, and this program supports Latinos in taking meaningful action to reach that goal. So we have done this via capacity building, such as our dives program last year, where we trained a cohort in ocean literacy and scuba diving, by producing emerging research, such as our latest white paper, which discussed the role of Latinos in U.S. fisheries, and by supporting campaigns to achieve ocean protection 30 by 30, such as our involvement in the designation of the Chumash Heritage Marine Sanctuary off of the coast of California, which created a protected area. And so by providing key resources, support, and opportunities for Latinos to advocate, we are cultivating leaders that will foster the ocean that we need for the planet and the future that we want. So sharing a little bit about our focuses this year, in the next step of our fisheries work, we are currently in the pre-production phase of our newest short film that will focus on sustainable fisheries. And I'm really excited to share that we are working with a Latino director with deep expertise in ocean work. And this film will highlight Latinos' contributions to the fisheries sector, as well as our commitment to a healthy ocean. So through the lens and stories of Latinos across the nation, the viewer will experience a new perspective and understand the intersection between seafood and family values and cultural identity, as well as the ways in which Latinos contribute to the seafood supply chain, the challenges they confront, and why it's essential to strive for healthy fisheries and sustainable seas. Along with that, we are also working on a fisheries toolkit that is being co-authored by two of our wonderful Hispanic Access Conservation Network members. And that will be released the first week of June, which is World Ocean Week. So it's a big celebration and a time to raise awareness for ocean concerns. And this toolkit will explain the issues that fisheries face, such as overfishing, ocean acidification, what is that, and more, in a way that's easy for anyone to understand. It will also help us understand how we can make responsible consumer choices by providing practical tips that we can all implement that will support not only the health of the ocean, but our health as well. We will also be participating in Capitol Hill Ocean Week again this year, both with Hispanic Access staff and two of our conservation network members from Puerto Rico and California that will be there with us advocating. And finally, thinking back to our quiz questions where you learned a bit more about the ocean's influence on you, we will continue that this fall by beginning ocean literacy programming, where you can learn more about a variety of different ocean topics and gain a deeper understanding of how the ocean influences you and how you influence the ocean. So we will be putting together some educational webinars on different ocean topics. So some opportunities to engage. As you may know, NOAA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is currently facing some proposed budget cuts and workforce reductions that could impact ocean and climate research, fisheries monitoring for safe seafood for everyone, and critical weather forecasting. And this could have an impact on our communities, as Latinos in the US are more likely than non-Hispanic whites to experience intense hurricanes, sea level rise, and floods. So we are writing a letter of support for NOAA. And if you'd like to contribute by sharing why you care about NOAA, why it's important to protect NOAA, please send me an email and we will do our best to incorporate your concerns. I also invite you to share our fisheries toolkit when it's released in about a month. We will have a sustainable fisheries pledge that will encourage people to adopt actions and behaviors that contribute to sustainable seafood. So we would love to see you join our pledge. And follow us on social media. We will be sharing updates during Capitol Hill Ocean Week while we are there in Washington, D.C., and sharing what we're learning and what we're advocating for. And then please feel free to reach out to me with your key ocean concerns or ideas. If there's something you want to advocate for, I would love to hear it. And let's show how much Latinos care about ocean conservation and protect our blue planet together. So thank you very much. And I will pass it to Vanessa, our waterways manager.
Thank you, Sophia. Hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa Munoz. I'm the Waterways Program Manager, and we have some poll questions. They're open-ended questions. I would love to learn more about what the nearest river, the closest river to you is, and what role does water play in your daily routine. As you're answering those, the Waterways Program aims to promote environmental stewardship in the Latino community. It elevates Latino voices in waterway conservation policy, supports leaders, and provides the resources needed to advocate for a more sustainable future. Thank you for taking the time to answer these questions, and we'll move on to some of our different policy updates. Our first one is enhancing water quality and river ecosystem health. So let's start with something foundational, which is water quality and the health of our rivers. Clean water is essential not just for drinking, but for farming, powering industry, and supporting recreation. But beyond that, rivers are living systems. They filter pollutants, they control floods, and support everything from flora to fauna. And when water quality declines, so does public health and biodiversity. So challenges to drinking water vary across the United States communities. This includes threats from aging infrastructure, ongoing pollution, climate, mismanagement, lack of strong laws and regulations, and shortage of funding to address these problems. Communities across the country, primarily low income and communities of color, they struggle to afford water and are faced with concerns over contamination from toxins like lead or PFAS, which is a forever chemical. Also, agricultural runoff. So when it comes to the quality of drinking water in rivers, there needs to be a push for stronger protection. And one of the most important tools that we have is the Clean Water Act. So it was established in 1972, and this is to ensure that the nation's waters are fishable, swimmable, and drinkable. And this helps set water quality standards for all of the United States waters, including rivers, lakes, and wetlands. So when you're talking to your representatives, let's encourage them to be more active in supporting stronger laws and regulations. When it comes to river ecosystems, ecological degradations have resulted in more floodings, and floodings have become more intense and frequent due to changes in climate. So communities of color in lower income neighborhoods, they tend to be located in lower lying areas with outdated infrastructure and limited drainage. So these communities are at greater risk of floods and are more vulnerable when it comes to insurance is less accessible, emergency services can be slower, and we need to invest in green infrastructure and nature-based solutions like wetlands, rain gardens, planting native plant gardens, or permeable surfaces that can reduce flood risks and water quality. We also want to encourage representatives to support wetland and floodplain restoration initiatives that can protect our waters. Then moving on to increasing public access and engagement with waterways. When people interact with their waterways, they're more likely to protect them. So it's important to have accessibility to these areas because it can provide mental well-being and just the well-being overall. So lack of visitation to these recreational areas, specifically in Latino communities, they largely result in lack of funding, time, knowledge, and language accessibility. So we want to encourage our representatives to mandate multi-language outreach, specifically in Spanish, and community consultation when it comes to improving the public access of these areas. And then lastly, we have the protecting and conserving the Mississippi and Colorado River. The Mississippi and Colorado River, they serve over 40 million people combined, supplying water, supporting agriculture, and sustaining jobs. So it's important to note that a substantial portion of our drinking water comes from surface water sources like rivers and streams. So it's of uttermost importance to understand the connection between where our drinking water comes from and the importance of maintaining these rivers. And when it comes to engaging, you can support by submitting support letters and comment periods. If you're interested in learning more about the Clean Water Act, you can send a support letter. And also, we have friends at the Columbia Snake River campaign who are calling for elected leaders to stop salmon extinction by removing the 4 dams on the lower Snake River. And if you're interested in submitting a public comment, I'll put the chat or the link in the chat. And then you could also support your community through these advocacy efforts. Or if you're interested in sharing your own from organizations or your networks, please don't hesitate to share those. We also share you can also share our resources. So we develop resources so you could feel fully equipped to speak to your representatives and to become fully equipped to speak on things that matter to you and your community. Lastly, you can host a Latino Conservation Week event. If you're interested in engaging your local community in these efforts, you can consider getting involved in initiatives like Latino Conservation Week. You can also share your story. Storytelling is extremely important piece of advocacy. There was a report released from our friends at American Rivers that named the most endangered rivers of the United States. And we would love to hear your stories on how these rivers are affecting you and your community. You can participate through an op-ed, social media, a quote, a poem, just to help elevate the voices in your community. Porque agua limpia significa una comunidad fuerte. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will pass it over to my colleague, Luis. Sorry, Juan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Rosas, and let's start with some fun. Let's see how many public lands experts we have. And if you can put the poll on the screen, the questions today is in 2025, what percentage of Latino voters in the Western United States reported visiting our national public lands within the past year? And the question 2 is, which national monument designated in 2025 is adjacent to Joshua Tree National Park and holds cultural significance for indigenous tribes, including the Cahuilla, the Chemehuevi, the Mojave, the Quechuan, and the Serrano nations? We need to put some Jeopardy music. And the answer is C, 88%, and the Chuckwalla National Monument. Thank you so much for participating in that. Hola, mi gente. My name is Juan Rosas, and I'm the Por la Creación Manager here at Hispanic Access. And the Hispanic Access Public Lands Program empowers Latino leaders with the skills to advocate for our public lands and embracing Latino culture, values, and perspective. This program promotes inclusivity, access, and community engagement, ensuring Latino communities can enjoy natural spaces by supporting health, economic growth, and conservation-related jobs. Friends, again, my name is El Viejito Juan Rosas y les quiero hablar de mi corazón. I want to speak to you from my heart. As I share many hats and many titles as a Por la Creación Program Lands a manager, I'm also a pastor for over 20 years. My favorite title is I'm a dad of 4 kids, husband of 24 years, and lastly, I love the title as a fierce amante de nuestras tierras públicas que nos dio Dios. And my childhood, I want to share a little bit of my backstory. My family vacations were nothing fancy, as we grew up very poor. My childhood was filled of visiting our public lands, visiting our local lake, having una carne asada con su guacamolcito, con su salsita, con mi abuelita y mi mamá haciendo las tortillas right next to the lake. I loved enjoying a ceviche de camarón ahí en el lago. And I know many of you have those same similar stories. Public lands and our ocean and coast is something that we should be very passionate because it's who we are. You know, our public lands, those were my Disneylands growing up. And I really do believe that many of us share those same upbringings. I want you to stop for a second and remember when you were young and you went hiking or you went backpacking or you went camping, you heard for the first time una de las historias de tus abuelas under the night sky alrededor de una fogata. Remember how you felt in that specific moment, hiking with your family, seeing the wildlife, the flora y la fauna surrounding you. The laugh that you shared when your mom or your little brother slipped on the path y todos gritaron, palo, se cayó la mamá. Public lands is who shaped me, who continues to shape me. It's who I am. And I see how vital they are for our kids, our health, nuestra cultura, y nuestro futuro. And these places right now are under real threat. So what can we do right now? I really encourage you guys, number one, to defend the Antiquities Act. Call on Congress. Call on them to protect this 100-year-old law that safeguarded places like the Grand Canyon and the newly designated Chuckwalla National Monument, like you saw in that trivia fact that we had earlier. We also need to oppose monument rollbacks. We need to see that these rollbacks will silence our stories. It will silence our stories and it will harm our ecosystems. It will harm not only our ecosystem, but our values and our culture, what we've been fighting so hard, that our kids and our family deserves to be able to enjoy these public lands. We also become champions of 30 by 30. 30 by 30 is supporting our protection of our public lands and oceans and coasts 30% by 2030. Let's ensure our lands and coast is here for our future generations. You also can get involved locally. Organize cleanups, man. Don't wait for someone to do it. You do it yourself. Clean around your neighborhood, but then go enter those public lands. Clean up all the shotgun shells. Clean up all the basura que se tira en el suelo. And let's continue to protect. Bring your youth, those who have youth groups, or you have churches or organizations that work. It's important that the next generation gets to enjoy the lands like we did. We also can educate and activate. Share how our public lands can connect to health, to jobs, to faith, and to our future. And then lastly, join our Por la Creación Network. If you're a man or woman of faith, we would love to have you a part. Please send me an email. Or if you are an environmental engineer or someone who wants or is passionate and one day wants to work in the conservation field, we would love for you to join our conservation network here at Hispanic Access. As I close, I want you to do something with me. Close your eyes for 1 second. Just close them for a minute. Remember again, when you were on those public lands for the first time, hiking, backpacking. Remember when you saw the primer coyote, you saw the in real life, the coyote chasing the roadrunner. Remember how you felt. Remember the stories that you shared. Remember all the ways that you found healing in the public lands. And now I want you to understand that it's our turn. It's our turn to protect them, to defend them, to love them. It's our turn to pass them as a gift, not just a memory. I want you to understand this isn't political. It's personal. It's sacred. Let's protect what makes us feel so alive, so our children can have the same memories that we did. Because these lands are our memories, and they should be our legacy too. Thank you so much, and now I pass it on to my colleague, Luis.
All right. Thank you, Juan. Really, it is inspiring. I'm grateful that we get to work with you, and it's a perfect segue into Latino Conservation Week. Oh, we can't see my camera. Let's see. All right. Hopefully you get to see me. But either way, just like everyone else, we'll start off with a little bit of quiz, a little bit about outdoor recreation. Let's see, I'll get that popped up there. All right, first one is, what is the longest hiking trail in the United States? You got some amazing options there. The second, and how does sunlight exposure help your body? We'll give it a second to everyone know. And in the meantime, I'll introduce myself. My name is Luis Cruz. I am the Latino Conservation Week coordinator for Hispanic Access. I'm here to share a little bit about Latino Conservation Week as the results start to come in, maybe. But the answers are, for the longest hiking trail in the United States is actually the American Discovery Trail. It's approximately 6,800 miles long, including alternate routes. It goes from Delaware to California and is one of the only coast-to-coast trails combining backcountry and urban paths. One day, hopefully, I'll be able to at least do part of that. And then the answer for the second one is increases vitamin D production. For those that may not know, vitamin D helps build strong bones. So that seems quite important. So that's something that maybe want to, just being outside can actually bring a benefit to you as well. But Latino, just to kind of get started here, Latino Conservation Week, the theme for it, or the general theme for it, is disfrutando and conservando nuestra tierra. It's an initiative of Hispanic Access Foundation, one of our largest initiatives. LCW, or that's what I like to say for short, was created to support the Latino community to getting in outdoors and participating in activities to protect our natural resources. Similar to what Laquan was saying, we want to make sure that our Latino communities have access to these public lands. How can we do that? How can we promote that? How can we break down barriers of access to be able to enjoy these lands that are just as much our right to enjoy as any other community? During this week, community, nonprofit, faith-based, and even government organizations and agencies come together to hold events throughout the country. These events range from hiking to camping to community roundtables, film screenings, park cleanups, tree planting. Really, it's just it's a very exclusive opportunity of ranging from all kinds of different events to really just to promote conservation efforts in their community and provide an opportunity for our Latinos families to show their support for permanently protecting our land, water, and air. You know, we oftentimes we want to make sure that our Latino communities are part of the conversation in conservation. We have already started seeing many tremendous growth and activities since the beginning of Latino Conservation Week back in 2014, when it started with 9 events nationwide. And last year, into its 11th year, or into 10th year, we saw over 360 events nationwide, and we hope to really keep that momentum going. Some of the goals of LCW is really the ultimate, and I think this is one of our main goals, is to provide Latino families with outdoor recreation opportunities near their home. We want our youth to be out there more. That's very important. But more so, we also want our families, our familia, our tios, our aunts, our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our parents, to be part of that as well, to have those meaningful moments in nature. We want to demonstrate that Latinos are committed to conservation. We are very much interested in this, and we want to make sure that our Latinos are still part of that conversation. We want to develop partnership with our leaders and organizations that support conservation issues, all within our region. And then, to kind of, with the theme of law, we want to inform our policymakers, our people that in media and the public, that Latinos are worried about these issues. I'd like to go over into some of the priority updates and some of what we're looking to do into this next year. First and foremost is the announcement of this year's LCW dates, which is September 13th to the 21st. It's the first week of Hispanic Heritage Month. It's really an awesome opportunity. Like, all Latinos are coming together for that week. Last year was the first year that we had our events in September. Previously, it was in July, and we heard from our partners in our communities telling us that, you know, that maybe September is the best place, or sometime outside of the summer when it's not so hot. We're starting seeing that change throughout since the inception of LCW. That even throughout the time we started seeing changes in the climate, and we have to be flexible and understand what our community is telling us. We listen, and last year was more successful than any other year. So we really want to just acknowledge the fact that our communities is telling us what works for them. We just want to be able to support them and provide the platform for them to be able to continue to do the work that they're doing. We want to keep this momentum going from last year, but also keep in mind that some of our communities are worried about other things, and how best we can support them. Provide maybe opportunities for virtual events. How can we provide the toolkits and the resources so that if that's something that you've never done, how do I go take my community out hiking? What are some of the resources that are available to me as someone new into the space? We want to make sure that you have all the tools needed so you can continue to do that. We want to make sure that we want to continue to grow our network. By one of the areas of focus that we want to engage with more is with schools, universities, and youth programs. I see this as an opportunity to grow the network and ensure that those that are interested in conservation are able to engage with these programs, with these activities. We want to ensure that those that want to share are able to share their love for nature as much with their community as they do have. We want to flex our network by flex our existing network by focusing on making sure that our elected officials know about these events. So I was looking back in a little bit of the statistics from last year, and I saw that over 900 partners and community members participated in LCW events last year. That is a huge number. That is a big constituency. If we come together unidos, that voice is even much more stronger, letting know that our people that are in power, that yes, Latinos want to be and are interested in these issues. We want to be able to do that. We want to elevate, we want to continue to elevate our network by providing access to those resources that they need to ensure successful LCW events. These include toolkits, connecting to partner organizations, and then just amplifying events. We have a large social media reach, and we want to make sure that those partners that are doing such great are able to do that, are able to share this, have able to connect you to those partners in your region, break down barriers. We often in the nonprofit world, we tend to work in silos. So by hopefully breaking down some of those barriers, we can actually start to notice that there's so many of us that are working side by side that we can come together unidos and make even a much bigger impact. But what are some of the ways that you as an individual can engage? First, join us at our website, latinoconservationweek.com. There you'll have access to all those resources. These resources are all free and open to the public. Again, these are resources on how to hold an event, how to promote your event. We even have templates to be able to reach out to your local representatives and best ways to be able to communicate the right language, to be able to communicate and maybe hopefully engage with those local elected officials with your events, or at the very least, just promote it. And, we can also submit your own event or check out an event that is in your region that you can. You can also connect with local conservation organizations and group in your area. There's always need for volunteers. There's always need people to be more engaged within their community. There are always tree planting events, park cleanups, or even just being outside. Keep an eye. One thing that we want to share is that one way that we're hoping to do this is to increase the impact and increase the reach of Latino Conservation Week is through our virtual race fundraiser. So just want to keep an eye out for that. That's another way for individuals or communities to be able to engage with the LCW. This allows anyone to be able to do a little bit of fundraising, but also still be active. It's a very inclusive fundraiser. This is all levels of activity are able to participate in this. So please just keep an eye out for that. And then lastly, and more importantly, go outside, enjoy nature. Go out there to even just being outside in your back car, let the air and the sun onto you. You'll realize how well the benefit it is that Just spending 20 minutes outside can lower your stress, can increase the health benefits. So I implore you to enjoy our public plans, enjoy our public parks, because they're going to want to take them away from us. So we want to make sure that our Latino communities are still engaged and still part of that. So thank you for being able to share. I'll make sure to include our flyer, our bilingual flyer in the chat, as well as my contact information, in case you wanted to just brainstorm or want to see about talking a little bit more how Hispanic Access can support you for your LCW events. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Anna to take a go next. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis, and thank you everyone who have joined us today for this webinar on advocating for our lands and waters that are vital to our livelihoods, our cultures, and our communities. My name is Ana Jimenez, and I am the Conservation Network Manager here at Hispanic Access. And I don't have a poll for you today, but I have something even better. I have a call to action. Before we close, though, and before I go to our call to action, I want to end today's webinar here with a heartfelt thank you. And I want to recognize and celebrate the incredible leaders from our Conservation Network, our Por la Creación Network, our HLN Network, who took part in this year's Latino Advocacy Week. The names you see on the screen here represent individuals who met with elected officials over this week to amplify the voices and concerns of the Latino community, and others who lent their insights as panelists through our webinar series. So thank you for your dedication, your advocacy, and for inspiring us all. Muchas gracias a todos. And now to our call to action. We invite you to get involved and to continue to advocate for our environment. We are living in a time where we see more natural disasters, water quality, air quality is a concern, our public lands is a concern. And I want to invite you to become part of one of our networks here at Hispanic Access. Whether you're passionate about conservation, interested in professional development through our Mano project, or looking to connect through our faith-based networks like Por la Creación, there is a place for you here. What our networks offer are meaningful networking opportunities for all, professional and personal development, a chance to make a real impact, and yes, the opportunity to have fun. We believe that building community, enjoying the work that we do go hand in hand. And to learn more about our networks and what we have to offer, you can check us out at our website, hispanicaccess.org, or you can send me an email at networks@hispanicaccess.org, and we'll love to connect with you. So thank you again for joining us today on this webinar, and I'll pass it to my colleague, Jessica.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you to the rest of my team for those great presentations and sharing updates on our priorities for the year in each of those programs, as well as different ways to get involved. I encourage you all to reach out to us at that email address on that screen, or reach out to everyone individually. It looks like the managers are dropping their contact information in the chat. I encourage you to reach out, get connected. We're happy to elaborate a little bit more on any of our program areas and opportunities to engage. I will open it up for a few questions from you all here as we round things out. And I did want to mention as well that we're continuing to experience some technical difficulties with our film. So I am so sorry to tease you with such a great film and not be able to share it. We'll drop the link to that YouTube video in the chat. And I encourage you to take a few minutes to watch that video and inspire your own advocacy journey here as you would like to. So watch out for that link in the chat. We've got a few minutes here. I encourage you to use the Q&A feature or the chat button to drop any questions here that you might have for myself or the rest of the team as we close things out today. Yeah, team, feel free to join me back on camera as we round things out. We'll leave it open for just another minute or so here if we get any questions. But otherwise, again, just want to thank you for being here and thank you for being a part of our wonderful network. Encourage you to get engaged if you're not already engaged. Thank you again for your support of Latino Advocacy Week. This year, every year, it's so important for our community to be able to elevate their voice in this space. And this year, more than ever, we want to encourage you to get involved at whatever level makes sense for you, whether that's locally, nationally, on whatever level you would like. Let's see, I do see a question coming in. Can we talk more about the virtual race fundraiser? And will there be information in Spanish to engage the Spanish? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing my place in the chat. Engage the Spanish-speaking community in philanthropy or crowdfunding. Luis, I'll turn it over to you to share a little bit more about that virtual race for Latino Conservation Week. Yeah, I'll take it away.
Yes, there's going to be definitely be translated into Spanish. But this the way envision, it's going to be an inclusive way that you can interact with the community and do fundraising through this platform. So the actual fundraiser, the virtual race itself, you can open it up to, so it doesn't necessarily have to be going on a marathon run. While if you are able to, please go right ahead, take it. But if it is also really just to kind of, this idea of like connecting our, outdoors and be outside and movement and exercise, but also with the idea of like maybe there's a way we can do a little bit of fundraising and connect with the community in that way. The fundraiser is going to open up, just a little preview. It's going to start in September and go through the entire month. And we'll definitely be sharing information as it becomes more. We get a little closer to that. We'll do an official launch of that. We're going to have include that in a newsletter as well. So if you're interested in like learning more about the LCW, and then maybe please reach out, and I can make sure to include you in that list and making sure that you all get that newsletter as well. But I don't know if you want to add any more, Jessica, but.
No, thanks, Luis. I think you covered it. Like you mentioned, those details are being finalized, so you can expect an announcement in the next couple of months, but it should be a really accessible, fun way for you to get engaged in Latino Conservation Week efforts. I'm seeing a few more questions come into the chat here. And I apologize if I miss any. I think the chat is a little hard to read sometimes, but I see a question. Is Hispanic Access Foundation planning to do advocacy ahead of time in the design and implementation to the 2030 census to ensure accurate counting of Latinos and underrepresented communities? Remember the citizenship question debacle of 2020? Curious to know whether this is on your radar. Thank you so much for elevating that. We are currently working with our chief of programs and our leadership team to strategize on our advocacy efforts, especially beyond conservation. Here on the conservation team, we've got a specific advocacy platform. Beyond that, organizationally, it's a plan that's still being developed. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention and encourage you to stay tuned and stay connected as that's developed and finalized for opportunities to engage. But advocacy overall is super important for us to prioritize here at Hispanic Access, beyond conservation efforts, which our team focuses on. Okay, let me see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any questions. A question from Steph M. Vanessa, I'll let you answer this one. Tijuana River made #2 on the endangered rivers list from American Rivers. What are some ways that Steph can support or can get engaged?
Well, thank you. That's a great question. And if you haven't seen the report, I encourage you to review the report, and I'll put it in the chat as well, from our friends at American Rivers. And one way that you can support is by sharing your story, right? I mentioned earlier that storytelling is extremely important piece of advocacy. You can help by sharing how you connect to the river, whether it's through an op-ed, you could do a social media video, and we could help amplify, and you could provide a quote, a poem, just so we can help elevate your stories. Thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa, and thanks, Steph, for the great question. All right. I am not seeing any other questions come in the chat. So if you've got any final questions, now is that moment. Let's see, Vanessa, another question on engaging with the Columbia River. Any thoughts?
Yes, that's a great question as well. So like I mentioned earlier too, we have a comment period, and if you would love to join this link, you can provide support and share your story as well. We have our coalition that you could be a part of and support. You could also share your stories, right? If you're part of that Washington State area or the Snake River is close to home, please let us know and we can communicate more and be a part of our initiative. Yes, we can definitely reach out if you send me an email. We can meet one-on-one and we can kind of discuss some of the different possibilities of engagement. And I could share more resources.
Thanks, Vanessa, for that. And yes, Loren, I encourage you to reach out to Vanessa and connect individually. There's no shortage of opportunities with her programming on how to share your story. Ranges from everything from submitting comments, like she mentioned on the Snake or on the Columbia River, to getting a little bit more engaged on social media. So a lot of different opportunities. To anyone who's interested in sharing their story, please reach out to us and we can chat about what that can look like and what makes the most sense for you and your individual story, whether it's with specific rivers we want to protect, specific public land campaigns that we want to get involved with, or some of the other reports and opportunities that our managers mentioned. All right. Great. Thank you all so much. I'm super excited to see you all interested in getting engaged with these different efforts. And I know it's an information heavy webinar today, and we appreciate you sticking around and hearing our updates. Again, please reach out to us if you have any questions. We're happy to chat about it. Thank you so much for your continued support of our conservation programming and of Latino Advocacy Week. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and we hope to hear from you soon.